It's amazing having to comprehend just how new what I'm sharing is with the world. And I wanted to make this a very simple video compared to my other rather complex videos and video series and documentaries, etc., because my message is very simple. That is to just treat people like people. Treat others the way you want to be treated, do no harm. It's a very simple message, and yet we give an exception in politics and in government, these systems which clearly are based on belief, based on opinion, and people think they need it for order, but actually we don't, and we can live in a truly free and voluntary society with many solutions and people coming together and obligated to teach each other morality and what is right and wrong, rather than authority, just doing what you're told and not thinking for yourself. I mean, honestly, all of society will improve when people understand this, but this knowledge is so new. People don't understand it yet. Nobody, really, the general mass public of society doesn't know what statism is, and it requires seeing our own ignorance. And people assume if something is important, it must be known by now because we have the internet and we have this mass communication and we have celebrities and politicians and all this front stage stuff, that it should be quite evident that everybody should know about it if it was really truly important, if it was really going to save the world. But actually, no, people don't know about it. People refuse to look at it when they are confronted with it because they push it down thinking, no, it's impossible. That's not even a possibility in the imagination of the mind. It's not even possible to live in a truly free or voluntary world, they say. So it's all about realizing these systems that are unnatural, and that really people are just people, and that is our natural condition, is recognizing the humanity in everybody, never suppressing your heart, always doing what is right. Never saying, well, I should do something that is wrong because it's written on a piece of paper, because I was given permission to do so, I was given this position of authority, I'm wearing this badge and uniform. No. And it's a matter of time for people to realize this truth, that people are no longer going to obey and people are no longer going to put up with it. And there's going to be so many other alternatives, voluntary alternatives, that are going to appeal to people. So no matter how you look at this, you see a creative innovation in humanity, the invoking of the human heart in a great magical energy of people coming together and expressing themselves. And that's what you see in people who are free. Whereas people who are not free, people who are in these unnatural systems, they often take it out on themselves. They don't have good health, they don't have good habits, but they claim that they're there for order and for the better, greater good of society. And, they sometimes do things they know they shouldn't do. And yet, they're partaking in this thing, which they know is just a belief. They know it's all just based on some other people and what they made and of the years past and what they were taught about in school, which they take for granted. But yet they go along with it. And there is probably a better alternative, and they just don't know it. And in fact, when they do come to see any sense of it, when I share it with them, they might close me off. They might attack me. That's what I've experienced, and that's what so many people have experienced in this community, despite how we just want people to be treated as people and nothing else. It's such a simple demand, and it's not even a demand, it's allowing. Government demands. It tells people how to live their life, and we're saying, we don't want to tell you how to live your life. We want everybody to live their best life as they want to, and help each other do so, not with violence, not making people obligated to do stuff by violence. Violence is not our resort. Teaching, education, helping is our resort. You only use violence in the case of self-defense, and even then, it's like, when do you need to use self-defense? You can talk yourself out of situations. You can understand someone's intent, why they did what they did. They can learn their lesson so many different ways. They don't have to be thrown into a cage for the rest of their life, their whole life ruined, and the family has to pay all these fines and go through the court system and blah, 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 because that's the system we have now. And yet it's all the result of people allowing a one belief system, which is so new to the world and nobody knows about it except a few people right now. And by a few, I mean, well, actually hundreds of thousands. It's growing exponentially because of how important it is. But that's still very few compared to millions and millions of people, if that's true, billions of people, that's true, of people, because the world is honestly a smaller place. You realize we're all connected. You realize you can talk to someone across the world with a different language, and they were programmed to think their government is the best. You were programmed to think your government was the best, and they're the bad government, and oh, we did everything in history, and we're all programmed to think like this. We're programmed to think, oh, you gotta fight for your country, you gotta fight for your rights, and you gotta therefore follow orders. But it has nothing to do with morality and caring for the humankind, which is worldwide, timeless, and universal moral truths. But yet that is what's truly going to empower humanity. So it's ultimately determined by the teachers and the people willing to bring that to humanity. That is you. That is me. That is all of us. And if people are influential or they have some sense of influence, they can bring this message to people very quickly. But right? Otherwise, we're going to be still trying to get up there ourselves, and we don't want the identity, I'm afraid I don't want to be popular. I don't want the identity, right? But I want the ideas to be popular. I want the ideas to get out there. That's why I do this. That's why I share the word, and I have to get into different debates with people. I don't call it a debate. I call it a conversation, but people turn it into a debate. They get defensive. They get attacking, because they don't want to confront their own worldview. I mean, that just shows you how people are not able to comprehend themselves or the natural reality beyond all governments, which is that we're all just people, we're all in the same reality, and we all must work together. And we don't have to legitimize violence ever. There is no such thing as authority. It's just human beings. So it's such a simple thing, and it's amazing when you understand it deeply enough to the point where you look around you and you say, how come people don't care about nature this much? Because my message is nature is the answer, and we don't always connect the dots, but this is not a natural system, and there's clearly a natural system beyond that. And, we as human beings, if we want to live our natural lives, we have to live and let live. Let people live their lives, let us live our best lives, and, help each other. But there's no part of the process where we say we have to build this system, go through this ritual, sign this, and believe this piece of paper has magical powers. I mean, that is entirely just based on man-made whim. I mean, nature did not provide us with that. Why does someone have to be born out of the womb and sign a bunch of papers? And be naturalized into a system. It's like denaturalized into a system. Doesn't make them more natural, doesn't help their nature. It programs them into a system that they never consented to because they were so young, and they're born into this system where they're then propagated into thinking that system is the best and the only system, and there can't be any possibility of any other system otherwise. I mean, this is the world we live in. Nature, impossible, never to be embraced. Man's government, man's law, man's authority must be embraced. Therefore, we can justify all the atrocities in the world because we're willing to violate nature. We're willing to go against just living our lives. We're willing to say we need to change everybody around us but ourselves, and point the fingers all day and go in these nasty debates and politics and mass wars and telling people to follow orders, all the result of one single belief system. And when people realize how big, how essential this is, then the world will truly change. And until then, it will not. Finally, I wanted to add to this video by saying that I will be filming in nature more and hopefully getting you guys a bit more inspired directly through the natural scenery. Getting more of that natural scenery is actually what started me on my other channels. I would use it often for different albums for music that I would create, or thumbnails for my old gaming channel, etc. I used it quite a bit, and I want to bring a lot of that back. I want to inspire people and bring out that inner light in everybody, and that includes in my generation, which might also require a more light-hearted approach. I intend to notice that myself included, and many individuals in this community tend to take it out really hard on people, at least when it comes to sharing the truth, saying, here's something you gotta check out, slavery, really big topics that can be kind of confusing, kind of loud, kind of scary to look at, and they often pushes people away. But perhaps there's a light-hearted approach, and I'm going to look at that more. I know that I come across not as angry as Mark Passio, although I'm great friends with him. I don't come across as perhaps as well spoken as Larkin Rose, but everybody does their part, and my part I see is I can be sensitive. I can help the younger generations. I can bring the message to them. I can experiment with different content. I can innovate and come up with different solutions, and that's who I am, right? And that's what I'm going to continue to do. But I have to include nature more, because I always say nature is the answer. It's my main message. So I don't mean to ramble on, but I do feel a deep sympathy for everybody. So I'm going to try to appeal to health practitioners working on a huge project with that right now. I'm going to reach out to the content creators, say they're not doing enough. I'm going to reach out to the politicians and hold them accountable. I'm going to do all of that, because there is nobody I'm secluding here. Everybody here deserves this knowledge, if it's knowledge that's going to help so many people. And I truly want to help people. I've always wanted to do what is best for the world, what promotes the good and health in everything. So nothing is going to stop me in my passion to do that, even if these are really heavy topics. If people don't understand what would really help them, even if it's heavy and people don't want to face it, I'm going to share it with people, because that's what's going to heal them. That's what's going to help them. And we see it. I see it through personal testimonies. I see it through the people that are in the community, and how powerful it is. It wakens up their whole mind. They start looking at everything in their life. And so I have this masculine ambition, and I want to protect. I want to protect humanity. I want to protect these ideas. Protect our very ability to express ideas. And then I have my feminine side, where I have that sensitivity, the ability to step back and look at the open world and realize that anger is not always the only solution, and realize that there has to be other ways of handling things, and we can be caring and supportive, and we can use spirituality, not just science. We can use science and not just emotional appeal. We can do everything. We just have to set our minds to it. And so I'm just one person. You and many others are other people who have way more potential than me, but we all have so much great potential. So we're in this together. Thank you very much for watching. My goal is to bring it to everybody, and I plan to actually do another book sometime, not soon, but inspired by the natural elements, to really hit the heart on sensitivity. And the reason why that's important is because we live in a world of desensitization, a world where nature is somewhat lost, and we see this too by observing the concept of the Tao, or the Taoism, where it talks about, wait, there is no such thing as anarchy. There's no such thing as government either. There is just the way, which is the Tao. And it's just a matter of if we follow that way or not. It's the same as saying there's just nature. That's all there ever is. There's just people. That's all there ever is. Thank you very much for watching. This is Corey Angelot. Nature is the answer.